Choosing the right MMO is like choosing the right job. They both end up monopolising a huge amount of your time and often feel like an endless grind. However, unlike becoming an accountant, here you can cast spells and save the known world while wearing a magic tunic. Click subscribe for more videos on the finest PC games going, but for now, consider us your careers advisors as we document the best MMOs on PC. Over a decade old and still going strong, World of Warcraft started as a suspiciously viewed spin-off before becoming the most popular MMO in existence, defining an entire generation of games. And, thanks to its long reign, it's had plenty of time to evolve. Blizzard keep on trying new things. Expansions have introduced new continents, fancy classes, and chubby pandas. Not to mention underwater zones, dungeons set on moving trains, and garrisons where you can dabble in a spot of construction and recruit NPC heroes. As the universe has grown, the narrative has become harder to keep track of, thanks to time travel, but it's still one of the biggest and best stories in games. EVE Online is that game you've probably read about countless times but been too overwhelmed to play. More than an MMO, it's a simulator of gargantuan space wars, political intrigue, and commercial backstabbing. Real fortunes have been won and lost, friendships made and tested, and while it's a game of space lasers and flying fortresses, it's more grounded in the real world than any other MMO. It's daunting, but damn if it's not impressive. Over the years, CCP have made an effort to remove some of the obstacles for new players, so now's a great time to blast off and explore the constantly shifting galaxy. Funcom's unsettling MMO might be quiet these days, but don't let that put you off diving into its world of shadowy corporations and secret histories. No other MMO comes close to the quality of writing that the secret world boasts, with quests that actually demand you engage your brain and do a bit of research via its in-game web browser. The robust character customization means you can be a blood mage hipster or a modern-day shotgun-wielding Templar and anything in between. And if you get tired, then you can create an entirely new class whenever you fancy. Final Fantasy XIV is a lesson in how to make the most out of a second chance. After a disastrous start, the game was shut down and rebuilt from the ground up, transforming into not just an excellent Final Fantasy game, but an inventive MMO with an epic, sprawling story that will send you on adventures throughout its awe-inspiring world. Even if you've never gotten into the venerable JRPG series, you'll still get hooked on the job system, which is a lot more fun than the word job makes it sound. Plus, it's full of cat people, if that's your thing. It might not be the new kid anymore, but Guild Wars 2 continues to be a breath of fresh air in MMO land, thanks to largely ignoring traditional quests. Players have to band together to fight in rolling events, mini storylines that play out in stages depending on how heroes perform. There are consequences for success or failure. If you don't stop a centaur invasion, for instance, they might end up taking over an entire region. Combat throws tradition to the curb as well. Fast-paced and kinetic, there's more than the hint of an action game about it, and abilities are not just based around classes, but specific weapons. Switch out your greatsword for a gun in one hand and a rapier in the other, and you'll find a whole new set of powers to play with. Boldly going where no MMO has gone before, Star Trek Online attempts to spin episodic, TV-inspired yarns that pit ship against ship in orbit and crews against gun-toting aliens on a planet's surface. And, until the next time it hits our screens, it's the only way to experience modern Trekkie adventures in the original universe. Take the job of a Starfleet, Klingon or Romulan captain and you'll be hurtled across the galaxy, and across time, on missions that jump from adventure game-inspired romps one minute to titanic space clashes against armadas of Borg cubes the next. And you can breed tribbles. What do you mean, what are tribbles?
Captain.
In Skyforge, gods and immortals are fighting over a single world with guns, swords, and magic. All because an even more powerful deity decided to go on a long holiday. Typical. It's a gloriously ridiculous premise that gives you an excuse to stride across a planet, displaying your over-the-top divine powers. Do you find yourself often regretting decisions you've made? Good news. Skyforge doesn't limit you to the class you selected at the start of the game. All your progress is spread across every class, so you can change your mind whenever you want. And when you finally reach godhood, you even get your own loyal followers, whose wide-eyed worship of you gives you even more power. Just like being an Instagram celeb. If you like the lore, monsters, and locations from Dungeons & Dragons, but not the dice rolling, number crunching, and dungeon masters with a god complex, then Neverwinter might be just what you need. It takes the setting and personality from the tabletop game and squeezes it into an action MMO mold with unexpected success. Despite the switch from turn-based tactical combat to more chaotic, action-packed bouts, Neverwinter still feels like a D&D game, in great part thanks to quests that are driven by story, not just loot or experience. But don't worry, it has both of them as well. Expect plenty of dragons, subterranean dungeons, and even player-made adventures.
Do you know your port from your starboard? How about your port from your rum? You'll come to know both in Arcade, the pirate MMO that sailed over from Korea a couple of years ago. In truth, the quests are old-fashioned and the factions are forgettable, so ignore all of that and head out to sea instead. It's gorgeous. So gorgeous that you'll probably just want to sit in a boat and gently bob away. A legendary kraken will complicate your journey somewhat unless you've brought 40 players and 10 galleons along for the ride. Did we say ride? We meant raid. Rift does raids better than anyone, ripping open holes in the world and sending elemental monsters through to make a mess. Big groups of players band together to tackle the invasions, each of which is completely spontaneous. It makes Rift's land feel deadly, alive, and under siege. There's a complicated class system, but you can't really go wrong, as the game lets you switch between configurations on the fly. And you'll need to, because if those rifts are left unzipped, they'll drench large portions of the map in baddies, causing huge environmental catastrophes you could have prevented. No pressure though, obviously.
So, what do you think of our list? Have we forgotten about the MMO that you just binged on for the last 12 hours? Set your guild on us, or just leave a comment. And be sure to hit that subscribe button.